Well, I've got Harry Herbert of Highclere and Alshire Cab Racing. Harry, racehorses, when their racing days are over, what responsibility do we have for them, especially owners to start with?
A huge responsibility, and if you're in my position with the Highclere hat on, running a syndicate with 20 share owners and a horse, everybody wants to know, what is going to happen. I mean, we tend to sell our horses when they're quite young, so there is hopefully, if they're sound and well, a long career ahead of them. But if a horse has had a problem, and we do not want to sell that horse for a pittance, knowing there's a problem, then Greatwood and retraining of racehorses has played a vitally important part over the years in Highclere's life. And we've, Helen Yearden, I mean,
she's fantastic.
I mean, I'm sure everyone you're going to talk to she is remarkable, absolutely remarkable. And each year Highclere has a 5 to follow competition with all our owners and anyone else who wants to join in, and all proceeds of that go to Greatwood, and people love it, and it's a great way to raise a bit of money as well.
But it's a question, I'm always saying this, if we don't look after our old warriors and our veterans, no one else will. Lots of worthy charities about, humans involved, etc. But racehorses are our responsibility. So what can the public do? They think about those wonderful horses looking after them in their latter days.
Well, I think the industry has a huge responsibility.
And more is being done, in fairness, than was done in the past.
Yeah, a lot more,
yes,
a lot more,
yeah.
and I'd certainly support for these charities. Retraining racehorses is absolutely critical. And interestingly, recently, maybe in the last couple of years in particular, we might have sold a horse or two at the horse and training sale for not a lot of money, say 4,000 or 5,000 guineas, and the owners have known that horse is going to go off to race in Israel or wherever. And people have been, I think probably quite rightly, very vociferous to me, saying, Harry, I think you ought to rethink this. At some point, is that the right thing to do with the horse? Or should actually that horse, versus splitting 5,000 by 20, we would rather that horse goes to we know it's gone, he or she has gone to a happy home. And so it's something that we're very aware of, within the business. And certainly with the Alshire Cab hat on, exactly the same. There's a massive responsibility. The more horses you have, you can't just expect these horses just to disappear. So I think in my role as advisor to the Sheikh, already we're placing horses. We're not just selling them willy-nilly. And it's something the Sheikh's certainly very interested in.
Talking about Helen Yearden and Greatwood, of course they bring on disadvantaged kids, sit them on horses, get them to in touch a horse, and the excitement and the revelation in their lives that can bring. What else can retired racehorses do? They do dressage and one or two other things, but to keep them in a happy retirement.
The children scenario is...
We have called for a Mr. Professor S.
It's phenomenal. And I have
Professor S. Herbert, would you please report to the main racecourse reception
just before
and
the rest of the question, the Queen came
That's Professor S. Herbert, would you please report to the main racecourse reception to see Julie? Thank
Everything
you.
else was the whole thing of how can horses, what do you do, Helen? How does that work? And the Queen was due to come for a sort of 15-20 minute visit, and she stayed for I think well over an hour.
Well, we know. I always say one thing about Her Majesty, I wouldn't like to be her bookmaker, because she does know what all the things of state and the red boxes and all that. Her knowledge of the form book and the horses and the breeding and the love of the animals absolutely shines through. And it's tremendous for racing, of course, that we've got her there, and that she is concerned about what happens to the old warriors in the days beyond their days on the racecourse.
Fabulous. And she looked at every part of Greatwood, and it was an informal, if you like, unofficial visit, but something that John Warren, her blood supervisor, asked her if she'd like to do, coming back, I think, from Roger Charlton's yard back to Highclere, and she agreed. And it was one of the most special mornings you can imagine. Everyone, Helen and all the team and children,
fantastic.
all lined up there. But horses, I mean, as John Franklin was saying, horses, thoroughbred horses can be retrained, to do all sorts of things, from riding horses, eventing, show jumping, and just showing, or just being a pleasure horse. And it's about finding happy homes and I think patience at the end of the day, which obviously someone like Helen Yeadon has in spades.
I'll make one little plea on behalf of Helen Yeadon. You're influential in the higher circles. What about getting an honour for her? I don't know how it's done, and you can write in. She deserves all that she's done for these wonderful warriors. They've given us so much. She deserves being recognised for her duty and her responsibility for these horses.
Absolutely. I'd be the first to know. We'd be fighting out the finish, you and I together on that one. I think it's absolutely essential, and what an amazing thing, because everyone who meets her, everyone who meets her is inspired.
Her enthusiasm and the team that she's got together, and just go down there, it's beautifully kept out. The horses are so, well, if you can tell if a horse is happy, they seem to be. It's fantastic. Yeah.
We're literally just, our latest hiker recruit to go there is Beacon. I see Richard Hannon waiting in the wings there, who trained Beacon to win the Flying Childers and other races, and he was a classic example of a horse whose knees degenerated. We couldn't train him anymore. We didn't want him to go to anywhere other than the very happy home. I think he arrives there this week, so it's very appropriate. Another hiker, friend, if you like, that we know is going to have a very happy retirement.
Harry Herbert, we're all agreed, a gong for Helen.
Gong for Helen.